Hey, hope everyone is doing well. I wanted to share in 10 minutes here a couple of quick observations, and then I've got to run and take my oldest son to his chess class. He's 5.5 years old, and it's really fun taking him to chess class and passing the torch to the next generation so he can kick my butt in the holiday season, hopefully a few years from now. Couple quick observations. So number one, retail sales B initial claims are coming in fine. We are in a Goldilocks setup. Might not feel like that because there's a vibe session caused by just a generalized anxiety around elections and geopolitical risk. And there are, pressures, different parts, right? Costs of living are going up like insurance costs. But, from a bigger picture, this is a Goldilocks setup. It's very rare that everything is perfect. And usually when you have that kind of environment, the Fed starts raising rates. So that's one. Retail sales are fine. I think they'll come in quite strong this fourth quarter. What's confused people is that consumers are shifting their behaviors, or consumers are smart. They wait for Black Friday. They wait for Amazon Prime Day. They wait for sales. They like a good deal. They're shopping more at Costco. They're shopping more at Walmart. They're using their Amazon Prime membership. So that's what's confused, I think, some of the people analyzing the data. Consumers adapt. So we like these retail ideas, retailers going into quarter four. Amazon's actually part of that. So we brought Amazon into the fold. So a couple of quick ideas in NVIDIA. Look, I think this will be at 150 before year end. Certainly close to that. Our thought process on NVIDIA is like, look, they're capturing the bulk of the value created from this AI boom, far more than even their suppliers, with the exception of Taiwan Semiconductor. So we think that they continue to be one of the best ways to play the category. We also like the packaging provider called ASX Technologies. Those are two names there. I want to do a deep dive on what happened with the ASML later, but the headline is China front-loaded their orders something like 2 years ago in anticipation of export restrictions coming. That is one factor. Number two is the utilization at these fabricators are still below 90%. So they still have some room. And third is they've got some competition from Intel, which is really quite interesting, Intel. But I think that merits its own deep dive. I might write about it in the Lumida Ledger newsletter this weekend. So I think in terms of the themes, I think actually one of the big themes in the next quarter through year end is actually Mag 4 type names, ex-Tesla, ex-Apple. But even names like Microsoft. I haven't been a big Microsoft fan, but if you look at Microsoft, it's gotten cheaper over the last 2 quarters, and it's been spending time on its 200-day moving average. And, if it were to break, that'd be bad for the indices in the overall market. I don't think that'll happen. If it did, then you can kind of adjust. But, it's it's not a great deal, but it's had time to actually pull back to more meaningful valuation. So I actually think names like Microsoft, Amazon, and our favorites, of course, are Google, Meta, and NVIDIA will do well. Meta is re-rated higher. We love Meta, but I'm not going to sell my Meta, but it's on the higher end. And NVIDIA has some room to go, but everyone knows that name now and has been focused on it. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see a rally Q4 in that area. That's one of our calls. Other areas I like are insurance, property and casualty, as well as auto insurance and retirement annuities. I've been on this theme for, I think, most of the year. It's one of the best performing categories in the market, right? If you look at the CPI, double-digit price increases across insurance products. The regulators are allowing them to pass through to the consumer. Consumers can't avoid paying insurance. So they might pull back from other types of spend, but they're not pulling back from paying on insurance products. So I think it's a great category. It's really not that expensive. They have earnings growth. They have a moat through regulation. There's several ways to approach that category too. There are multiple winners in that category, which I love to see. When you see the entire tide lifting, that's a good sign. I'll write about some ideas later in the newsletter. I think also on the energy side, I think energy and natural gas might have bottom. That's a risky call to make. It's kind of hard to call bottom. But I think it might have happened though. Like we're back in higher for longer, right? With the Fed cutting 50 bips, the 10 years moved up to 4 points plus, and the dollar strengthened because the market doesn't expect the Fed to cut as aggressively anymore. And with the dollar strengthening, that hurts commodities. And there's been no bid from China because China monetary stimulus is not the same as fiscal stimulus. You can give someone liquidity, meaning you're willing to finance them. That doesn't mean they're actually going to spend. Consumers are still, in a crouched position, saving 30% of their income. There's no bid for oil. That's why, in part, oil has come down. But I think we probably have a bottom perhaps today. So I bought some tankers with good free cash flow, good buybacks. I think natural gas is going to be very interesting. I don't know if that's bottom day. I don't, but I do think that's a very great play on data centers. Good. It's an area where this kind of hot ball liquidity hasn't repriced yet. The natural gas play. It did reprice Shineri, which I wrote about, I don't know, a few months ago. Shineri re-rated. They're one of the largest producers and exporters of liquid natural gas, but others in the category have not. Uranium's repriced. So a lot of things on this data center AI theme have repriced. Natural gas hasn't. So if you want to lead the market, you should focus on that category. Financials I like a lot in Q4, not the mega caps. So, the regional banks are reporting the results are coming in fine. Same thing with the mega, more than fine. They're coming in strong, consumer strong. And I expect you're going to see an M&A cycle pick up, both from greater capital markets activity. You saw that in Goldman's earnings, right? And also, lower rates make it easier to acquire companies. IPO market is coming. Smaller regional banks want to bulk up and hopefully become too big to fail. So it's a good survival strategy. It's a good way to diversify also. So I do like that, although I prefer insurance within financials a bit more than the regional banks, although I think they're both really interesting. Continue to avoid SaaS names. Been talking about the death of SaaS for a while. There's a great tweet someone wrote about how Klarna refactored Workday and Salesforce out of their system. That's just the beginning of more to come. Why do you need to spend $500,000 on Workday? Why do you need to invest in Salesforce infrastructure? It's not going to happen overnight. I'm not saying go short those names or anything, but these are forces that are impacting those businesses. And you can already see institutions are gradually selling out of these names. I'll show you Workday. Now, these were quality businesses. They didn't have much competition. They had free cash flow. They had a long backlog. I owned Workday at some point, earlier, this year, but don't now, and really don't own. I'm really not focused on SaaS. Look at this. This category topped in February 23, and it's been downhill ever since. So you've got this bull market with, indices at all-time highs, and cloud stocks have not participated, right? This is probably a fade. That's probably not going to go up more from here. So that topped also in February 12th. So what else? I think the Trump bump phenomena is in full effect. I think it's probably at peak right now. So that's an observation. When I talk to others in the industry, I want to say 60 to 65% of money managers expect Trump to win the election, and that is boosting animal spirits. You see that with small caps rallying. Small businesses tend to rally in small caps. That's a phenomenon that we noticed over the course of the year. So keep an eye on that. And if that's true, and that's kind of peak Trump bump, then maybe small caps, maybe the run there is going to kind of give way to some of those Mag 7, Mag 4 names. And there's really been this tension between those two categories, right? Those two categories have a lot of potential and upside. They can't run both at the same time. When they do run at the same time, that's called a melt up. We saw that in early July. You enjoy for 1 or 2 weeks, and then you push the button to get off the off the elevator. So that's an observation we have there. By the way, here's another one. So Apollo, let's take a look at Apollo. As you guys may know, I've been really enjoying Apollo here. Take a look at Apollo. Look at this. This is the hot ball of liquidity showed up in my private credit names. This is, hot ball liquidity refers to this phenomena where in a 2 to 3 week time frame, you get a re-rating of a category and asset class very rapidly. So it's happening right now in this category. It happened in utilities not too long ago. I think now's the time to start, considering de-risking these positions. If you can see, it's not just Apollo, it's Blackstone. It's also Blue Owl. You can see that a lot of volume, a lot of activity. When you see a spike in volume near a top like that, and you see this kind of RSI over the top, it may be an indication that you are gonna face a pullback soon, right? So here's Blue Owl, same phenomena, heightened volume, heightened activity. This is logarithmic terms. If you actually look at this on normal price terms, you would see a parabola, right? So probably want to consider de-risking those areas. We saw this parabola in China. I mentioned in our newsletter 2 weeks ago here, I said this has 1 to 2 weeks to run and probably pulls back. That's what happened here as well, right? So this is really a short squeeze plus some FOMO, then it gives way, the last dollar's in, then everyone runs for the exit. And that's what happened with energy names as well as utility names. You can see that too with Vistra Energy. We sold it on that day. This is the hot ball of liquidity. No one's talking about it. I find that surprising. If you're aware of it, then you can take advantage of that. And where does it go next? As I mentioned, I think it goes probably to these kind of Mag 4 names. And we have some other ideas too, some interesting idiosyncratic ideas that we've been looking at. We've been, increasing exposure to the healthcare category, as well as some wonderful businesses in healthcare. They've always been expensive for a long time. Finally, get some good prices in that category. So I've got to run, take my son to chess class. I hope that was fun. By the way, tomorrow I'll be on Yahoo Finance. I'll be double clicking into several of these topics. Hope you enjoyed that. Happy Diwali too. Thank you for that. It's the Festival of Lights. It's also the victory of good over evil. It's where my namesake comes from too. So that was very kind of you. Thank you for that. And I'll see you all soon. Be well now. Cheers.